The great hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with polished stone and metal. Tall windows showed the stars outside. Beings from 100 worlds sat in curved rows, looking down at the single human who stood in the center. Captain Do-hyun Kim stood straight and tall. His black uniform with silver trim marked him as an officer of Earth's Interstellar Defense Force. He did not fidget or show fear, though the eyes of the galaxy watched him. "Human representative," said the head speaker, a tall blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. "The Council has reached its decision after much thought. Your species has expanded too quickly. Your military grows too strong. Your people are too unpredictable." Do-hyun remained silent, his face calm. Inside, his heart beat faster, but years of training kept his breathing steady. "Earth is classified as a death world," continued the head speaker. "Your people evolved in harsh conditions that made you naturally aggressive. The Council has dealt with death worlders before." Quiet murmurs spread through the hall. The other delegates nodded, as if this was all very reasonable. "Therefore, we require the following. Earth must surrender control of its outer colonies. Your military vessels will be limited to Earth's solar system only. All human ships must carry Council observers, and human expansion will cease immediately." Do-hyun blinked once, the only sign he had heard something surprising. "You have 15 standard days to begin compliance," said the head speaker. "These terms are generous. Other Death World species received harsher restrictions." A thin, gray alien with large black eyes leaned forward. "Human, understand that this is not punishment. It is protection. For you and others. Deathworlders who resist eventually face isolation or worse. Those who comply find prosperity under Council guidance." Do-hyun took a deep breath. He had studied the other Deathworld species. The strong, bear-like Dreth now performed manual labor across the galaxy. The clever Vorax were reduced to serving as living computers. All had once been proud, independent species before the Council helped them. "The Council awaits your initial response," said the head speaker. "Though, of course, your full acceptance must come from your Earth government." The hall grew quiet. Everyone knew what would happen. The human would bow, say polite words about taking the terms back to Earth, and then his leaders would accept. It always happened this way. The Council always won. Do-hyun thought about his orders. His superiors had expected demands. They had prepared careful diplomatic words for him to say, words that would buy time without promising anything. But standing here, seeing the smug certainty on alien faces, something shifted inside him. "No," said Do-hyun. The word was simple, quiet, yet it seemed to echo. The head speaker's 4 arms twitched in confusion. "I don't understand. You need time to." "No," Do-hyun said again, louder this time. "Earth rejects these terms completely." Gasps and clicks and hisses filled the hall. Council members turned to each other in shock. "This is not how this works," said the gray alien, voice rising. "You cannot simply refuse the Council." Do-hyun's eyes narrowed. "I just did." "Then you choose isolation," warned the head speaker. "Your worlds will be cut off. Your ships barred from Council space. Your people will suffer." Do-hyun took 3 steps forward, closer than any representative had ever dared approach the Council platform. Guards moved forward but stopped when the human made no aggressive move. "Let me be clear," Do-hyun said, his voice now carrying to every corner of the vast hall. "Humanity says no. We will not surrender our colonies. We will not limit our ships. And if you threaten our worlds or our people, you will learn why Earth is called a death world." He turned and walked toward the exit, ignoring the chaos erupting behind him. Warnings and threats followed him, but Do-hyun didn't look back. Earth had just made history. For the first time in 10,000 years, someone had told the Galactic Council no, and meant it. The war was about to begin. The shuttle landed smoothly at Earth's main spaceport. Captain Do-hyun Kim looked through the window at the blue sky. After weeks in space and days in the cold Council chambers, Earth's warmth felt like a blessing. "Captain, we've arrived." The pilot's voice broke his thoughts. "The Defense Committee is waiting." Do-hyun nodded and stood up. His journey back from the council had been fast. News traveled faster. By now, everyone on Earth knew what he had done. The shuttle door opened. Do-hyun walked down the ramp to find a small group waiting. They wore the dark blue uniforms of Earth's highest military leaders. Captain Kim, a tall man with gray hair, stepped forward. "The committee needs your full report immediately." Do-hyun saluted. "Yes, Admiral." The Defense Committee room was large and round. 20 people sat at a curved table. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing Earth and its colonies spread across nearby star systems. Do-hyun finished telling them exactly what happened at the council. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. "You were supposed to buy us time," said Admiral Lee, his voice hard. "Not start a war." "With respect, sir," said Do-hyun, "they already decided on war. They just expected us to surrender first." From the side of the room, a man with sharp eyes and a thin face stood up. This was Ta-won Park, Earth's best military strategist and Do-hyun's friend since childhood. "Do-hyun is right," said Ta-won. "The Council's demands would have weakened us until we couldn't fight back at all. They've done this before to other species." Admiral Lee frowned. "Even so, we needed time to prepare." "The Council gave us 15 days, said Do-hyun. "But now, they know we won't just give in. That changes their plans." A screen on the wall lit up. A woman's face appeared, looking much like Do-hyun, but with longer hair and softer features. "Jae-yun," Do-hyun said, surprised to see his sister. "Why are you calling the Defense Committee?" Jae-yun Kim was Earth's top xenobiologist, studying alien life forms. She rarely dealt with military matters. "Brother, I have important news," she said. Her voice was calm but urgent. "My team has been watching alien communication patterns. There's been a huge increase in secret messages between Council worlds in the last 12 hours. The room grew tense. Admiral Lee leaned forward. "What kind of messages?" "Military codes," said Jae-yun. "Similar to ones used before they acted against the Dreth 20 years ago. They're preparing for action against Earth." Do-hyun looked at the star map. "They'll target our outer colonies first, cut us off from our resources." Ta-won walked to the map and pointed to 3 star systems. "These colonies are most vulnerable: New Busan, Harmony, and Phoenix Station." Admiral Lee stood up. "We need to send warnings and ships to protect them." "It might be too late for warnings," said Jae-yun. "Based on the communication patterns, Council ships are already moving." Do-hyun stepped forward. "Admiral, let me take the Dauntless to New Busan. It's our largest outer colony. If the Council strikes there first, thousands will die." The Admiral looked around the room at the other committee members. Slowly, they nodded. "Captain Kim," said Admiral Lee finally, "you told the Council no on behalf of humanity. Now you need to back those words with action. Take your ship to New Busan. Protect our people." Do-hyun saluted sharply. "Yes, sir." As he turned to leave, Ta-won caught his arm. "You know this means real war, right? Not just words now." Do-hyun nodded. "I know. But better to fight now, on our terms, than surrender everything and still lose later." "I've already sent tactical plans to your ship," said Ta-won with a small smile. "Just in case you did something brave and stupid at the Council." Do-hyun smiled back. "You know me too well, old friend." As he walked out, Do-hyun's mind was already on his ship and crew. The Dauntless was Earth's newest and best warship. Now they would find out if it was good enough to face the Council's forces. The real test of humanity was about to begin. The Dauntless cut through space like a silver arrow. Captain Do-hyun stood on the bridge, watching stars streak by on the main screen. His ship was the fastest in Earth's fleet, but he feared it might not be fast enough. "Captain, we're 6 hours from New Busan," said Mira Kang, his communications officer. Her fingers moved quickly over her console. Still no response to our messages. Do-hyun frowned. New Busan had over 50,000 people. The colony should answer calls from an Earth warship. Keep trying, he ordered, and scan for any ships near the colony. Lieutenant Han Gil-choi, head of security, looked up from his station. Sir, something's blocking our long-range scans. We can't see what's waiting for us. That's not natural, Do-hyun said. Someone doesn't want us to see New Busan until we arrive. The bridge door opened, and a small woman with oil-stained hands walked in. This was Soo Jae-yoon, the ship's chief engineer. Captain, she said, I might have a solution. If they're using standard council blocking technology, I can modify our sensors to work around it. Do-hyun nodded. Do it. 4 hours later, Sooji's changes worked. The main screen flickered and showed the New Busan system. What they saw made everyone on the bridge go silent. 7 large ships surrounded the colony planet. They were Vexeri vessels, sleek and dangerous. The Vexeri were known as diplomats in the council, but their ships were some of the deadliest in the galaxy. They've set up a full blockade, said Han Gil. No ships in or out. That's why the colony can't respond. Do-hyun studied the enemy positions. They haven't noticed us yet. Sooji, can you hide us from their sensors like you broke through their blocker? Sooji grinned. Already working on it, Captain. Give me 2 hours. The Dauntless approached New Busan under Sooji's sensor cloak. They slipped past 2 Vexeri ships that never detected them. When they reached the planet's night side, Do-hyun called his officers to the meeting room. We need to get to the surface without being seen, he said. We can't fight all those ships at once. Soo-jae spread out a diagram on the table. I can modify one of our shuttles to be invisible to Vexeri sensors. It won't fit many people, though. Just enough for a small team, said Do-hyun. We need to find out what's happening down there and help our people. Han Gil checked his weapon. I'll come with you, Captain. We should expect resistance. Do-hyun nodded. Sooji, you'll come too. We might need your technical skills. Mei-ray, you'll stay on the Dauntless with Commander Junho. Keep the ship hidden and be ready to pick us up quickly. Under the cover of darkness, their small shuttle landed in a forest outside New Busan's main city. The 3 humans moved quietly through the trees. When they reached the edge of the forest, they saw the city spread out below them. Look, whispered Han Gil, pointing to the city center. Alien ships had landed in the main square. Lines of humans were being marched onto these ships, guarded by tall figures in armor. They're taking our people, Sooji said, her voice shaking. Do-hyun watched through binoculars. Not all of them. They seemed to be selecting only certain ones, younger, healthier ones. Labor force, said Han Gil grimly, just like they did with the Dreth. Take the strong ones off-world to work on council planets. A noise made them turn. 20 meters away, a young human woman crouched behind a rock, watching the city too. When she saw them, she started to run. Wait, Do-hyun called softly. We're from Earth. The woman stopped, looking at their uniforms with hope and fear mixed on her face. Earth sent help, she asked. Are there more of you? Not yet, said Do-hyun. I'm Captain Kim of the Dauntless. Tell me what happened here. They came 3 days ago, she said. No warning. They said all colonies must return to council control. Anyone who fought back was killed. Now they're taking people away. My brother was taken this morning. Do-hyun's hand tightened on his weapon. What's your name? Jinna, she said. Jinna Seo. Jinna, can you take us to any resistance? Anyone still fighting back? For the first time, Jinna smiled. Yes, follow me. We've been waiting for someone from Earth to help us fight. As they followed her through the darkness, Do-hyun sent a quick message to the Dauntless. Colony under enemy control. People being taken off-world. Beginning rescue operations. The first battle of the war had already begun. Now humanity would show the Council what Deathworlders could really do. Jinnah led them through dark tunnels beneath the city. The air was damp and cold. Their lights showed old maintenance passages, now used by humans hiding from the aliens above. How much further? Du-hyun asked, ducking under a low pipe. Almost there, Jinnah whispered. We had to move our base 3 times. The Vexari have scanning technology that can find large groups. They turned a corner and faced a metal door. Jinnah knocked in a pattern. 2 quick, 3 slow, 1 quick. The door opened slightly. It's me, Jinnah said. And I found help from Earth. The door swung wide. Inside was a large room filled with about 30 people. Some were injured. All looked tired. They stared at the newcomers with a mix of hope and suspicion. A tall man stepped forward. Earth finally sent someone. Just 3 of you. Do-hyun stood straight. I'm Captain Do-hyun Kim of the Dauntless. This is my security chief, Han-gil, and engineer Suji. Our ship is in orbit, hiding from the Vexari fleet. 1 ship against 7. The tall man laughed without humor. I'm Sang-jin, leader of what's left of the resistance. We hoped for an army. We came as fast as we could, said Do-hyun. What exactly happened here? Sang-jin led them to a table with maps of the city. The Vexari arrived 3 days ago. They'd broadcast a message saying all human colonies now belong to the Council. Anyone who accepted their rule could stay and live under Vexari control. Anyone who refused would be removed. Removed where? Asked Han-gil. Labor camps, most likely, said Sang-jin. But that's not all. Show them, Jinnah. Jinnah went to a cabinet and pulled out a small silver disc. We took this from a Vexari officer during an ambush. It's some kind of record device. Suji examined it. I can access this. Let me connect it to my tablet. She worked for a few minutes, then looked up with wide eyes. Captain, you need to see this. They gathered around the small screen. It showed a recording of Vexari officers in a meeting. The aliens spoke in their own language, but English translations appeared below. The human colonies will be the first phase, said a Vexari with gold markings. Their resistance was unexpected, but ultimately meaningless. Once we control their outer worlds, Earth will be isolated. What of the other Deathworld species? Asked another. Could they join forces? The gold-marked Vexari made a clicking sound of amusement. Impossible. The Dreth are scattered as labor across 50 systems. The Vorax are contained. The Nuor are nearly extinct after their rebellion. Humans are the last free Deathworlders, and soon they will join the others in service to the Council. The recording continued, revealing the Council's complete plan. For centuries, they had identified and targeted Deathworld species, those from planets with harsh conditions who evolved to be stronger and more adaptable. The Council feared these species might one day challenge them, so they systematically weakened and enslaved them. When the recording ended, the room was silent. This isn't just about our colonies, Do-hyun said finally. It's about eliminating any species that might threaten Council control. Suji looked at her tablet again. There's more, Captain. Data files showing locations of other Deathworlder groups. Some are fighting back across the galaxy. Han-gil leaned forward. You mean we're not alone in this fight? Not just that, said Suji. According to this, there's an entire underground network of resistance fighters from various Deathworld species. They've been waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the Council openly. Do-hyun turned to Sang-jin. We need to free New Busan, not just to save our people, but to show the other Deathworlders that resistance is possible. Sang-jin looked skeptical. How? We're outnumbered and outgunned. Do-hyun smiled for the first time since arriving. Because the Council thinks they know what Deathworlders can do. But they've never seen humans fight when we have no choice but to win. He tapped his communicator. Mirai, do you copy? Send a secure message to Earth. Tell them we found something that changes everything. The war isn't just ours. and we may have allies no one expected. Above them, hidden in orbit, the Dauntless began sending the message that would forever change humanity's place in the galaxy. 2 weeks after discovering the truth on Nubuzan, Do-hyun stood in a dim room deep inside an asteroid at the edge of human space. The Dauntless had escaped the Vexori blockade by using a daring plan created by Suje. They had rescued over 300 colonists, including Sang-jin and Jinna. Now, Do-hyun waited for the most important meeting of his life. Earth's leaders had trusted him with this mission after seeing the Vexori recordings. The door slid open. Han Gil entered first, his hand near his weapon. "They're here, Captain." 3 figures followed Han Gil into the room. They looked nothing like humans. The first was tall and covered in scales, with a long tail and yellow eyes. The second had 4 arms and an insect-like body with shimmering wings. The third moved with a strange rolling gait, its blue skin glistening with moisture. "Captain Kim of Earth," Han Gil announced. "Meet the representatives of the Dreth, Vorax, and Nuar." Do-hyun stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Thank you for taking this risk to meet with us." The scaled being, the Dreth, spoke first. Its voice was rough but clear. "When we heard a human told the Council no, we did not believe it. Your message claimed you have proof of the Council's true plans for all Deathworlders." "We do," said Do-hyun. He nodded to Suji, who activated a screen showing the Vexori recordings. The 3 aliens watched in silence. When it ended, the insect-like Vorax buzzed its wings in agitation. "We suspected this for generations," it said. "The Council has kept our people scattered and weak. Many of us are forced to serve as living computers in their systems." The moist-skinned Nuar rolled closer. "My people once had a great civilization on our ocean world. Now fewer than 10,000 of us remain. The Council called our resistance a regrettable conflict that required population management." "They nearly wiped you out," said Do-hyun. "And they plan to do the same to us if we don't stop them." The Dreth's tail swished slowly. "What can 4 species do against the entire Council? Even together, we are outnumbered." A new voice spoke from the doorway. "We show them what Deathworlders can really do." Jun-ho Lee, the weapons specialist from the Dauntless, entered carrying a large case. He placed it on the table and opened it. Inside were weapons unlike any the aliens had seen before. "Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years," Jun-ho explained. "We got very good at it. These weapons use technology the Council doesn't understand because their worlds have been peaceful for too long." He lifted a small device. "This can disable Vexeri ships without destroying them. We used it to escape Nubuzan." The Vorax's compound eyes studied the device. "How did you develop this?" "Earth is harsh," said Jun-ho simply. "We adapted, just like your people did on your worlds." Do-hyun looked at each alien in turn. "The Council thinks Deathworlders are dangerous because we evolved in difficult environments. They're right, but they don't understand what that really means." "It means we survive," said the Dreth. "We adapt. We find ways to win impossible fights," added the Nuar. Do-hyun nodded. "Exactly. And now we have something no Deathworld species has had before, a chance to work together." Sujai stepped forward with a map of the galaxy. She pointed to various locations. "These are Council weak points. These are places where your people are being held. And these are hidden bases where other resistance fighters are waiting." The 4 species gathered around the map. For the first time, hope began to replace fear. "We call it the Deathworld Alliance," said Do-hyun. "Together, we fight for our freedom and show the galaxy what we can really do." The Dreth placed a clawed hand on the table. The Dreth joined this alliance. The Vorax's wings hummed. The Vorax join. The Nuar rolled forward. The Nuar join. Do-hyun placed his hand on the table to meet theirs. Then the alliance is formed, and the real war begins. Outside, hidden in the asteroid field, ships from 4 worlds prepared for the first joint mission of the Deathworld Alliance. The Council's long rule was about to face its greatest challenge. The Council ship captain stared at his screens in confusion. He was leading a fleet of 12 ships to take control of the human colony on Harmony. The mission should have been simple. The Council always won against Deathworlders. It was the way of things. But the humans weren't where they were supposed to be. "Scan again," he ordered. "Find their defenses." His officer worked the controls. "Sir, we detect no human ships. The colony appears undefended." The captain's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of his species' suspicion. "That's not possible. Send the landing ships. But be careful." 5 smaller ships detached from the fleet and moved toward the planet. As they entered the atmosphere, alarms suddenly blared across the command deck. "Ships!" cried the officer, appearing behind us. The captain spun around. Where empty space had been moments before, 7 ships now hung in the blackness. Not just human ships. There were Dreth and Vorax designs too. Impossible. These species never worked together. "How did they hide from our sensors?" the captain demanded. Before anyone could answer, 3 more ships appeared on the other side of his fleet. These were blue-skinned newer vessels, their strange organic shapes unmistakable. The captain reached for the communication control. "All ships, defensive positions. This is..." His words were cut off as every system on his ship suddenly went dark. The emergency lights came on, casting red shadows across frightened faces. "We've lost power," said his officer. "All systems down." The captain looked out the viewport. All 12 of his ships drifted helplessly. On his personal screen, which ran on a separate power system, a message appeared. "Your ships are disabled, not destroyed. Surrender, and no one will be harmed. Resist, and learn why Deathworlders survived on their harsh worlds." On the bridge of the Dauntless, Do-hyun watched the Council fleet drift powerless in space. "The EMP weapon worked perfectly," he said, just as Junho promised. Taiwan Park stood beside him. Earth's top strategist had joined them after helping plan this mission. "The Council never expected us to have this technology," he said. "They thought they knew what weapons Deathworlders would use." Maire's voice came from the communication station. "Captain, all Council ships report total systems failure. They're helpless." "And our landing teams?" asked Do-hyun. "Already on the surface of Harmony," Maire reported. "No resistance so far." Do-hyun nodded to Taiwan. "Your plan worked perfectly. They thought we would defend like the other Deathworld species did. Direct and predictable." "Humans aren't just strong," said Taiwan. "We're clever. And now with the special skills of the Dreth, Vorax, and Nuor, we're even stronger." On the main screen, they could see Vorax ships moving closer to the disabled Council vessels. The insect-like aliens had amazing technical skills. They would board the ships and capture the crews without a single shot fired. "Report from the newer vessels," said Maire. Their water-based cloaking technology worked perfectly. The Council never saw them coming. Han-gil checked his security screens. "Dreth ground forces have secured the colony. No casualties on either side." Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. "Send word to all Alliance ships. Phase 1 complete. The Council's attempt to take Harmony has failed." Sujai looked up from her engineering station. "Captain, we're receiving reports from Phoenix Station too. The Alliance forces there succeeded as well. 2 Council fleets defeated in a single day." A cheer went up around the bridge. For the first time since the conflict began, they had won a clear victory. Taiwan studied the tactical display. "The Council will be in shock. They've never lost to Deathworlders before. Their whole strategy is based on us being strong but simple." "That was their mistake," said Do-hyun. "They saw our physical strength but missed our greatest ability." "Which is?" asked Han-gil. Do-hyun looked at his crew, people from Earth working alongside allies from 3 other worlds. "Cooperation. Deathworlders survived because we worked together against impossible odds. Now we're doing it again on a galactic scale." He turned back to the view screen. Send a message to Earth and all Alliance worlds. Tell them the Death World Alliance has won its first victory, and tell them to prepare for the next phase. What's the next phase? Asked Mayray. Do Hyun's expression grew serious. The Council thought they could attack us. Now we show them what happens when Deathworlders fight back. News of the Deathworld Alliance's victories spread quickly. In secret corners of the galaxy, oppressed people whispered about hope. On Council worlds, leaders met in emergency sessions. Do Hyun stood before a screen showing the remains of Nova Hope, once a thriving human colony. Now it was just dust and rocks floating in space. They used a planet-killer weapon, said Mayray, her voice shaking. It broke apart the entire world. The Bridge of the Dauntless was silent. Everyone stared at the destruction on the screen. How many people? Do Hyun asked quietly. 8,000 colonists, answered Hangil. None survived. Do Hyun's fists clenched tight. The Council had responded to their defeats with unimaginable cruelty. Nova Hope had been a research colony, not a military base. Its only crime was being easy to reach. The Council has broken its own laws, said Taiwan. Planet killers were banned 10,000 years ago. Even they agreed such weapons were too terrible to use. A call came through from Earth. Admiral Lee's face appeared on the screen, grim and tired. Captain Kim, you've seen what happened to Nova Hope. Yes, Admiral, said Do Hyun. The Council has escalated beyond all reason. Admiral Lee nodded. Our Vorax allies intercepted Council communications. They plan to destroy 2 more colonies as examples. Their message is clear: surrender or watch your worlds die. We need to evacuate those colonies immediately, said Do Hyun. Already underway, said the Admiral. But there's something else. Several neutral species have contacted Earth after seeing what happened to Nova Hope. They're disgusted by the Council's actions. Some are even offering help. This was unexpected news. Most species in the galaxy followed the Council without question. The Council made a mistake, said Taiwan. They thought extreme force would frighten everyone. Instead, they've shown their true nature. The screen split to show another face. Seo Jin Kwan, the Dauntless's chief medical officer. She had been on a relief mission when Nova Hope was destroyed and was now on a nearby moon with refugees from other attacks. Captain, she said, her face drawn with exhaustion, I've treated hundreds of injured colonists from Council attacks. I've been documenting everything, recording testimonies, treating wounds, taking samples. The Council is using banned weapons even in ground attacks. This isn't war. It's attempted genocide. Do Hyun's expression hardened. Seo Jin, that evidence could be crucial. The galaxy needs to see what the Council is really doing. I've already sent copies to Earth and our alliance partners, she said, but I need more medical supplies. These people are suffering. You'll get everything you need, promised Do Hyun, and we'll make sure the Council answers for this. When the call ended, Do Hyun turned to his officers. The Council thinks they can break us with fear. They don't understand Deathworlders at all. What do we do, Captain? Asked Mayray. We fight smarter, not just harder, said Do Hyun. Mayray, send Seo Jin's evidence to every neutral world in the galaxy. Taiwan, contact our alliance partners. We need to adjust our strategy. Taiwan nodded. The Council expects us to seek revenge, to attack blindly in anger, which is exactly what we won't do, said Do Hyun. Hangil, set course for the Lyran system. There's a major Council supply depot there. We won't destroy it. We'll capture it. Take their resources instead of wasting ours. As the Dauntless prepared to jump to light speed, Do Hyun looked once more at the remains of Nova Hope. The Council thinks Deathworlders are just strong and violent, he said quietly. They forget that to survive on harsh worlds, we also needed to be smart, adaptable, and moral. We don't just fight to win. We fight for what's right. The stars stretched into lines as the ship jumped away. Behind them, A small beacon remained, marking what was once Nova Hope. It broadcast a simple message to any ship that passed. Here the Council broke its own laws to kill innocent people. Remember them. And remember that Deathworlders will not be broken by fear. Across the galaxy, the message spread, and the war entered a new and dangerous phase. 3 months into the war, the galaxy had changed. The Deathworld Alliance now controlled a quarter of Council space. Supply depots, shipyards, and key transit points had fallen one after another. Not through destruction, but through careful, strategic captures. Do-hyun sat in a meeting room on the Dauntless with leaders from all Alliance species. The ship had become their mobile headquarters, moving constantly to avoid Council attacks. "We've pushed them back on all fronts," said the Dreth commander, his scaled tail swishing with satisfaction. "The Council forces are retreating to their core worlds." "But at what cost?" asked Do-hyun. Screens around the room showed the toll of the war. Millions of refugees, dozens of worlds damaged. "We're winning battles, but this war could last years." The Vorax representative's wings buzzed softly. "My people cannot endure a long conflict. Already, the Council has increased pressure on Vorax serving in their systems. They are being worked to death as punishment for our rebellion." The mood in the room darkened. Despite their victories, the Alliance faced a difficult truth. The Council was vast, with resources spanning thousands of worlds. The Deathworlders might win battles but could still lose the war through attrition. A soft chime interrupted them. The door opened, and Jae-yun Kim entered. Do-hyun's sister had joined the Alliance fleet a month ago, bringing a team of xenobiologists from Earth. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she said, "but we've made a discovery you need to see immediately." Jae-yun activated the main display. It showed biological data, genetic sequences, and brain scans of various Council species. "We've been studying Council prisoners and analyzing data from captured medical facilities," she explained. "What we found is remarkable." She highlighted specific parts of the data. The dominant Council species have all evolved in perfectly controlled environments for thousands of years. No natural disasters, no climate shifts, no predators. Nothing unpredictable. "So?" asked the newer representative, rolling closer to see better. "So their biology has adapted to this stability," said Jae-yun. "Their brains literally cannot process extreme stress or rapid change. When faced with situations outside their experience, their neural systems overload." Do-hyun leaned forward. "You mean the Council species are physically unable to handle chaos?" Jae-yun nodded. "Exactly. That's why they fear Deathworlders so much. We evolved in unpredictable, dangerous environments. Our bodies and minds are built to adapt to chaos. To them, that makes us terrifying and unpredictable." The room was silent as everyone processed this information. Then To-won spoke, his strategist's mind already working. "This explains why our hit-and-run tactics have been so effective," he said. "It's not just the military advantage. We're causing system-wide panic among their leadership just by being unpredictable." "Can we use this?" asked Do-hyun. Jae-yun smiled. "We already have a plan. My team has developed a neural disruption system. Non-lethal, but it creates sensory patterns that Council biology finds impossible to process. Their soldiers would be incapacitated without being harmed." The Dreth commander hissed in approval. "We could end battles before they begin." "Better still," added Jae-yun. "We've found evidence of growing unrest on Council worlds. The lower-tier species, those with more recent inclusion in the Council, are questioning their leaders. Some have even refused orders to fight against us." Myre, who had been monitoring communications, spoke up. "That matches what we're seeing in intercepted transmissions. The Council is fracturing from within. Their society can't handle this level of stress and uncertainty." Do-hyun stood up and walked to the galactic map. The Alliance territories glowed blue against the vast red of Council space. But now he saw something new, patches of yellow, indicating neutral or contested areas. "This is our chance," he said quietly. "Not just to win the war, but to end the Council's dominance completely." He turned to face the Alliance leaders. "We don't need to conquer the Council. We just need to break their perfect, controlled system. Once that happens, their own biology will do the rest." The meeting room hummed with new energy. For the first time, they could see not just victory, but a complete end to the war. "The turning point has come," said Du-hyun. "Now we bring the chaos of Deathworlders to the heart of the Council itself." The Council's central station hung in space like a perfect jewel. For 10,000 years, it had been the center of galactic power. No enemy had ever reached it. Until today, a small fleet appeared from Lightspeed Jump, ships of human, Dreth, Vorax, and newer design. In the lead was the Dauntless, now bearing scars from countless battles. On its bridge, Du-hyun looked at the massive station ahead. No defense ships, he noted. They never expected anyone to reach their home. "Because no one ever said no to them before," said Tadwan with a small smile. Their plan was daring but simple. They would not destroy the Council station. They would capture it and use its own communication systems to broadcast the truth to every world in the galaxy. "All teams ready?" asked Du-hyun. Mireille checked her console. "Ready, Captain. Jae-yun's neural disruptors are active. Boarding teams standing by. Seo-jin has prepared the evidence files for broadcast." Do-hyun took a deep breath. "Begin the operation." The Alliance ships moved forward, deploying Jae-yun's invention. Small drones that created patterns of light, sound, and electromagnetic waves that Council biology could not process. The station's defenses went silent as operators collapsed at their posts, overwhelmed but unharmed. "First wave, go," ordered Du-hyun. Boarding shuttles launched from all ships. Han-gil led the human team, accompanied by elite fighters from each Alliance species. They met almost no resistance. Council security forces were incapacitated by the neural disruptors. Those from more resilient species surrendered quickly when faced with Deathworlders in combat gear. Within an hour, the central control room was secured. Du-hyun entered with Taiwan and Jae-yun, finding Han-gil waiting for them. "The station is ours, Captain," reported Han-gil. "Council leaders are contained in their chambers. No serious casualties on either side." Do-hyun walked to the main console. The massive communication array could reach every world in Council space simultaneously. Seo-jin had prepared a special broadcast, combining evidence of Council crimes with the truth about their systematic subjugation of Deathworld species. "We're ready to broadcast," said Mireille, connecting the Dauntless's systems to the station. "All channels, all worlds. No one can stop it." Do-hyun nodded. "Send it." Across thousands of worlds, regular broadcasts stopped. In their place appeared images of Council atrocities, secret records of their plans to control and enslave Deathworlders, and testimony from victims of their rule. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Do-hyun stepped in front of the camera. The same Council members who had once demanded humanity's surrender now watched helplessly as he addressed the galaxy. "I am Captain Do-hyun Kim of Earth," he began. 6 months ago, I told the Council no when they demanded our submission. Today, the Deathworld Alliance has shown that their rule was built on lies and fear." He gestured to representatives of the Dreth, Vorax, and Nur who stood beside him. "We do not seek to create a new empire. We do not want revenge. We want justice and freedom for all species. The Council's time has ended. Now all worlds must decide their own futures." The broadcast continued for hours, revealing centuries of Council manipulation. On many worlds, people took to the streets, demanding answers from their leaders. On others, Council authority simply collapsed as truth spread. 1 week later, Do-hyun stood in the same great hall where he had first defied the Council. But now, representatives from over 200 worlds filled the seats, not just Council members, but long-ignored species from across the galaxy. "The old Council is dissolved. announced a representative from a former mid-tier world. In its place, we propose a new galactic cooperative where all species have equal voice, regardless of their world of origin. The vote was nearly unanimous. A new era had begun. Later, on the Dauntless's observation deck, Do-hyun looked out at the stars with his sister Jae-yun and his friend Taedwon. "What will you do now?" asked Jae-yun. Do-hyun smiled. "First, go home to Earth. We've earned a rest." "And then?" asked Taedwon. Do-hyun's eyes turned back to the stars. "Then we explore, not to conquer or control, but to learn and connect. There's a whole galaxy out there, and for the first time, it's truly open to all of us." Above them, ships from dozens of worlds moved freely through space. The day a Deathworlder said no had changed everything. The age of fear was over. The age of cooperation had begun.